So most of the letters that we do have are from her, to and from her sister Cassandra, but we don't have that many at all. So we don't particularly know that much about her life, not certainly as much as we'd like to. You decided to tell Jane Austen's life through various objects instead of using kind of the official records and then going through the letters and then saying she did this and then she moved on to do this, which does work for some biographies, but yours is completely different. So why did you choose to look at her life through objects?
Well, I think there have been fantastically good conventional cradle-to-grave biographies. So it seemed to me completely pointless. There's nothing that new that's out there, really, not very much. I mean, odd little things come up about Jane Austen's life, but they're very few and far between. Well, what does that mean? You stop writing about her? No, you've got to find new ways of telling old stories. So it struck me that it was pointless doing conventional biography, but it would be much more interesting to do it thematically. And so I hit on this idea very early on, 4 years ago, on objects, of revealing the life through objects. So it might be, I call it her laptop, but it's her desk, her portable desk. But it struck me that says all sorts of interesting things about her as a writer. And so it was a way into the inner life. That's what you want to do. You want to get into the inner life. But I think with a thematic approach, all these patterns are thrown up that I hadn't considered before. So, if you're doing a chronological biography and you say, oh, and so-and-so proposed to her, and she said yes, and then she turned it down, and so-and-so proposed to her. So you almost forget that she's been proposed to that many times. Yeah. But if you do it thematically, like I do, you might start saying to yourself, well, hang on, she's clearly really fanciable, loads of men fancy her. Why does she keep saying no? No, and you might lose that observation because you almost can't see for the wood for the trees. But it threw up questions, and which is when I thought she just obviously didn't want to be married. She wanted to be a professional woman writer. So for me, I love the idea of objects and small things because it's the detail in Jane Austen's novels that bring her to life. It's those tiny details that are so revealing about character. So it seemed to me very Austenish to think about small things. But also, it was to do with theming, a thematic approach.
Yeah. So one of the items you actually use in the book is the portrait of Jane Austen, which was given to you by your husband. And on seeing the portrait, you then kind of started all this research, and that was logged by the BBC. And you did all this research into finding out if this portrait is actually Jane Austen. It hasn't yet been completely confirmed, but do you think we will ever be able to say that is definitely Jane Austen?
I'm not sure we will, because as you said, the portrait was the subject of a BBC documentary, and we had forensic experts, we had art historians, we had costume historians, and most of them, I have to say, thought it was her. But you need the provenance, and we don't have that, and you need that connection. I know where the portrait was painted. I know the house in London. I know who the house belonged to, and I know he was obsessed with Jane Austen. He was a schoolmaster. If I found a piece of paper saying, Miss Jane Austen came to our house in 1814, then there'd be no doubt. Whether that piece of information will come to light, I don't know. I mean, it's quite interesting. Various art experts said, you just never know. You never know. You might just find a pocketbook saying it's her. So there's lots of strong circumstantial evidence. I don't mind one way or the other because I think the debate's really good and the debate's important. Fantastic. And what really matters to me is that somebody very early on, because it clearly dates from 1814, we know that's not disputed, somebody portrayed her as a writer, and to me, a professional woman writer, not a demure Aunt Jane with a frilly bonnet. It was somebody who really saw that that's what she wanted to be. So that was the most important thing to me. And I say, it's fun to have the debate.
Yeah, it really is. We've had great fun discussing it here.